ISIS basic configuration. In this video, I'm going to show you how we can configure ISIS, how we can verify ISIS, and also I'm going to talk about the fundamentals, about the concepts of the ISIS practically, and finally, after practicing, after implementing this video, this scenario, we can learn the configuration, the ISIS, and also we can learn better the function of ISIS, for example, level 1 database, level 2 database, or some other functions. Let me to start the configuration. First, we should understand this scenario. In this scenario, as you can see, we have three areas. The first area 49.0001, and the second area is the area 49.0003, and finally the third area is area 49.0002. And also, as you can see here, we have 7 routers: R1 to R7, R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, R6, and R7. Here we have two important notation. The first is that I use serial interfaces between all routers. It has a reason. You will understand about it in future videos. And also, I'm going to use this plan of addressing between the links of routers. Look at here. I'm going to use 10xy0/24. What does this mean? This means that, for example, in the links between R1 and R3, I'm going to use 10130/24. This means that because this link is between the router 1 and router 3, the address of this link is 10.1.3. 1 is the router 1 and 3 is the router 3. 0/24, and the interface serial 10 of R1's IP address is 10.131, okay, and the interface of serial 10 of R3 is 10.133. That's it, okay. Let me to show you how we can configure this scenario. We need to configure first IP addressing in this scenario, and after that we will talk about the configuration of the ISIS. And because I'm going to configure IP addressing faster, let me to use one notepad file here. Here we have, for example, R1. This is the configuration of the router 1. Here, you know that we have, for example, 7 routers. Because of that, let me to use R1 again, 7 R1. Then we can change this to R2, R3, R4, R5, R6, and R7. Now we can start the configuration, starting from the router 1. The router 1, as you can see here, has two interfaces. The first is serial 10 and the second is loopback 0. Let me to configure these two interface, enable, then conf-t, okay? And after that, we can configure the host name of this router to R1. After that, we should configure interfaces serial 10. You know that the IP address of this interface is 10.131.255.255.255.0, and then no shutdown. Okay, that's it. And then we have another interface loopback 0 with the IP address of the quad 1/32 quad 255. This is the initial configuration of the router 1. You can configure another routers with using this configuration, and after that with some change. Let me to show you. Look at here. This is the configuration of R1 until now. After that, let me to copy this configuration. Okay, copy, and I'm going to paste it on the for example, router 2's part. Now we can change the values. First, en conf-t hostname is R2, okay. Then we have interface serial 0. The IP address of this interface is 10.2.3.2. Why? Because this link between router 2 and router 3, the IP address of this interface serial 10 of R2 is 10.2.3.2, okay. And after that, we have another loopback interface. The IP address of this loopback interface is quad 2, okay. So easy. And after that, we need to configure router 3. Let me to copy the configuration of router 2. And after some change, we can paste this configuration for router 3. Look at here, router 3, en conf-t, hostname is R3. Then we have 3 serial interface. The first is interface serial 0. And also we have 2 other serial interface, serial 11 and then serial 12. Let me to change the values to serial 11 and 12. The serial 10's IP address is 10.133, okay, because this interface is residing on the link between the router 1 and router 3, and also this is the interface of router 3. 10.133 the IP is the IP address of the serial 10 of router 3. And also we have serial 11 for the router 3. The IP address of this interface, as I mentioned before, is 10.233. And finally we have serial 12. The IP address of this interface is 10.343, okay, 10.343, okay. This is the configuration of the initial configuration of the router 3. Also we have router 4. Let me to copy the configuration of router 3. After some change, we can use it for the router 4. In router 4, first we should change the host name to R4. Then we have interface serial 10 and serial 11. We don't have serial 12. And after that, the serial 10's IP address is 10.344. Let me to change these values to 10.344. That's it. For serial 11, we should use 10.454. Okay, 10, then 4, then 5, and finally 4. 255, 255, 2550. Then we should go to the router 5. For router 5, let me to use the configuration of router 3, copying the configuration of router 3. After some change, we can use it for router 5. This is the router 5. Host name is R5. And then the interface serial 10 of the router 5 has the IP address of 10.565. Okay, 10.5, then 6.5/24. The serial 11's IP address is 10.575. 10.5, then 7, then 5. After that, we have serial 12. The IP address of this interface is 10.455. 10.455. That's it. This is the IP address of the serial 12. Now we have router 6. For router 6, I'm going to use the router 4's configuration. In router 6, we can use this configuration. Look at here, we have two interface, serial 10 and also ETH00. Let me to change this interface to Ethernet 00. Also, serial 10 has IP address of 10.566. Okay, 10.5, then 6 and 6. And finally, the IP address of the ETH00 is 10.606. Okay, 10.6.0, for example, 6. That's it. And finally, the router 7. Copy the configuration of R6 and pasting on the router 7. The host name should be changed to router 7 in R7 and also to the R6 to the in the R6. Okay, host name R7. Then interface serial 10's IP address is 10.577. Okay, 10.577. And after that, in the ETH00, we have the IP address of 10, for example, 707. 10.707. Also, look at here. For the ETH00 of the router 6, we should use 10.606. Okay, and after that, now we configure the IP addressing in all of the routers. It's better to first copying this configuration into the for example routers CLI, and after that we can continue the configuration of the ISIs. Let me to copy this configuration into the CLI of the routers, starting from the router 1. This is the CLI of the router 1. Look at here. The router 1 doesn't have any configuration. This is the R1's configuration. Copy and then pasting on the R1. Look at here, we didn't receive any error message. After that, we should configure the router 2. This is the configuration of the router 2. I'm going to paste in R2. That's it. Also, we should configure the router 3, copying the configuration of router 3 and pasting on the router 3. Okay, you should carefully paste the configuration and you should ensure that you didn't receive any error message. If you find error message, you should first troubleshoot that error message and after that you can continue. And then R4, this is the configuration of the router 4. And finally, the next router, router 5, this is configuration of router 5. And we can configure, we can copy the configuration here, paste it here. And after that, we have R6. configuration of router 6, copy and then paste on the R6 CLI.